Hello again, everyone. Shaz, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. Okay, great. So we're starting on time. We already have a couple of participants here with us. Um, so again, I am Malaya Del Rosario. I'm the head of Arts and Creative Industries at the British Council in the Philippines. Welcome to the second part of Communities of a New Future, a series of creative hub conversations. So it seems that everyone is calling us from, all over the world. So good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everyone. And today we are talking about lessons on digital transformation. So I have a co-host for today. His name is Shaz Rakinia. He's the creative director of Adobo Magazine, and he's calling from Bacolod in the Philippines. Shaz, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi from Bacolod, Philippines. Hello from Adobo Magazine. We're here to support this important initiative, which, as most of you know, Adobo Magazine really covers the pulse of advertising and creativity and craft. So this was a really special opportunity when Lai talked to me about these sessions, these 3 sessions for creative hubs to get together. And I guess as a media partner, I get to say and hacking together this great initiative about figuring out these problems that we're having and dealing with challenges together because creative hubs are very special. And I think that the understanding of what type of work goes into becoming a great creative hub is something that all resonate with us in this part of what we want to do. So thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm super excited for session 2.
Yes, right. Well, as you know, in this session, it's called Lessons in Digital Transformation. So we're going to try to answer what it means to be digitally transformed. I'm sure that we understand this in different ways, and we also try to apply this in different ways. And we will rethink how we work, how we give value, and how we create meaningful interactions with our communities through our creative hubs. And we will also learn about the skills and the mindset needed to make transformations happen through digital means, of course. And our hope is that through the stories from our speakers and your own contributions as participants, we will be able to unpack the challenges, the innovative ideas, and the positive or negative impact that digital transformation can bring. Okay, before we go to the house rules, we just wanted to find out how you are all feeling. We hope that you are well wherever you may be. I believe we have a poll to just do a quick survey of everyone's moods for today. So we hope that you see it now in your screens popping out. Just share us how you're feeling right now. So we also have an idea of, well, kind of an idea of how you are doing since we can't really see you right now. Okay, so thank you for sharing. Can I also?
Yeah,
I
a
don't
lot
think
of
I can
excitement. Yeah, I can see it. I see it as it's happening. I think a lot of people are excited, which is awesome. That energy is really welcome. We have a lot of people that are eager. Yeah, we have a lot of people. Yeah, okay. This is a really good first step.
No, I mean, unfortunately, I can't really participate. But I think it's good that most people are excited. 54% are actually excited. Most are feeling more or less positive right now. Some are worried. Some are contented. So I guess it's kind of neutral, just okay. 1% are frustrated. So I hope we can somehow try to respond to that frustration during our conversation. Okay, Shaz, do you want to talk about our house rules for today?
Sure, yeah. So we have a couple straightforward house rules. As everyone's entering the Zoom, we just want to make sure that everyone's mics stay on mute. unless you are during the Q&A session, if we chime you in. So just make sure that you're set on mute and that you're on off video. Of course, we'll have an opportunity when we do Q&A, and we will do a group photo in a bit, and we will ask everyone to turn their video on. And then after that, we'll shut our video off until someone personally is answering your question. Then we'd love for people to come up. Are we on the tech end? Are we ready to do a group photo yet?
We can do it later when we talk about, or yeah, I think we'll do it later.
Okay.
According to my script.
Okay. Also, if you do have a question, so after each of our talks, and then we'll have a Q&A panel session afterwards, the raise hand function on the bottom tabs, you'll see a participants tab. So if you open that tab, you'll also see a chat tab, participants tab. Those are the tabs you're gonna want open during our session today. And you can use the raise hand function, and someone from British Council Philippines will get to you. And we're gonna prioritize people that can have their cam and mic ready for when it's question time. So also I just wanna mention, as a media partner, we are recording this session. So we're also live streaming it for passive viewing. And also for comments, we'll be monitoring the live stream on Adobo Magazine. So facebook.com/Adobo Magazine. So there is a copy of what's happening today there. And you are welcome to invite friends that haven't been invited here to go watch the session on Adobo Magazine's Facebook, because I will have some of my writers gathering up comments and questions. So also, the Zoom meeting will be locked in about 10-15 minutes. So it's important that if you do have problems, if you do drop out, let me just, or I guess Mark or someone from British Council can write his email in our chat box now. So if you have any issues, you can go and reach out to him to be able to rejoin the session. Also, I do have a little cue card. Oh, I didn't test my screen. Is this backwards or is it forwards?
We can read it.
Yeah, okay. Yes. We were in reverse earlier. Yes, we match. So we have matching signs. We'll try to passively remind you if your mic is on or if you are on screen. Lastly, we just want to remind everyone to be respectful. Of course, keep your chats going, keep those hands keep those hands up if you have questions. But you know, this is a positive session about things that are working for us. So just be respectful while we're chatting today. All right, Lai, do you want to give us a recap of where we are so far?
Yeah, so this is the second session of our series of conversations, as we mentioned. And for those of you who weren't able to join the first one, we just wanted to do a quick recap. That took place last May 28th, actually. And we just gathered like 3 key takeaways from that session. Hopefully we can connect the ideas from that session to this one and build on them. Okay, so the first one is we got a lot of examples of resilience. So this first session was called Inspiring Resilience, right? And there were many positive examples of resilience from hubs, from supporting artists to find creative solutions to help frontliners and provide essential services, to developing projects that focus on process instead of physically going to an office. So for example, we had many studios from Glasgow, so Natalia joining, and they're usually an events and co-working space. But when the quarantine happened or started, they supported artists who wanted to get into agriculture. And that's not normally something that they would do. But, you know, as we know, food becomes, you know, a real concern when we have quarantines. So that's our first takeaway. The second one is how to remain relevant. In the first forum, we asked the question, how can hubs translate their mission in a changing context and still stay relevant or remain relevant? And as an immediate response, they focused on supporting mental health and the well-being as well as the professional and the livelihood, professions and the livelihood of their communities. So Kikini, which is another co-working space in Indonesia, Valencia, who is from Kikini, said that they assumed a voice of reason amidst the chaos of the pandemic. So they hosted several programs for their community members, and they tackled issues like mental health, which again is a major issue coming up. And the third and last one is the challenges to becoming resilient. And I think this particular one connects very well with our topic for today. What are the challenges for digital engagement as we, in a way, are, or some of us are forced to go online or to go digital, right? And some things might not translate well by going online. And in an article that Adobo Magazine did, kind of summarizing the first session, they ended their article with, I think, an important quote that I hope we can just park in our minds during this conversation. So it was from Stephanie Key from Penang Art District in Malaysia, and she said, how do we continue to deliver value when human connection is limited? And I think that is really one of the challenges that we just need to keep talking about. Okay, so if you'd like to read the rest of the article, I think Mark has kindly shared the link there. And we also have our media partner from Whiteboard Journal, who will be coming out with some more insights from this series. Okay, lastly, we'd like to talk quickly about comms and engagement and hashtags and such.
Yes. So, okay, this is where it gets fun. So as we let people, I'll explain, we have the Instagram stories happening, and also we want to take a group photo. So I think people can try turning on their cams now.
Yeah, and hope that Zoom doesn't crash.
Yeah, and then we can do like a gallery view. I mean, this is what I see. I'm not sure what my backend sees.
We have 130 people right now, just for everyone's information.
Nice. Also,
nice, good turnout.
Yeah, and more. I think the last I checked on the live stream, it was above 50. So I'm not sure what it is now. I don't want to overload my computer. But the next thing I'll talk about after we take a couple selfies is we want to do this hashtag and connect as the global creative workforce through IG stories. So wait, let me, are we good to take a couple photos? How does this work? Because I know that we'll have multiple pages. We're done? Can I get a, we're done?
Can I get a we're done?
I think Ags might still be taking photos because there's like
okay. A few more photos.
Still taking photos.
A couple poses. And feel free to, if you can go, if you go in gallery mode, you guys feel free to take some screenshots of the multiple pages of participants we have today.
Yeah, and can we just say thank you for allowing us to take a peep into your world right now. I'm seeing all of you, and yes, very interesting. I can't activate my video.
Okay, so while we're, is your video? Yeah, I see you.
RD Aster can't activate her video. Sorry, RD Aster. Or ASEC Aster. Okay, just let us know when we're done. Oh, there.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah, so the next thing that you guys can do during this session or after this session, let's continue it. So I'm literally doing it right now. I'm on my phone. Like I shouldn't be, I should be paying attention. But here, so this is where I was on Monday. So I had a headache, but I was able to work from this little island right outside Bacolod. So that is my workstation. That's my global creative workforce, tagging the PH British. So it's our Instagram account.
This is mine.
Yes. So let's tag our workspaces. So PH British can reshare. Workstation. And we'll write the hashtags in our chat. a lot of multitasking going on here. So it's hashtag creative hubs for good, hashtag culture connects us. Make sure to tag PH British. That way we can reshare it. I am sharing mine now, my story. Okay, done. All right, so I'll remind you guys later again, but we'd love to see where everyone is working, especially, getting to know our fellow creative enthusiasts in Southeast Asia and beyond. Okay, so let's see. Last but not least, I just want to remind everyone also as the media partner to use the hashtags and also to reach out if you have additional comments. If you've really enjoyed something in particular about this session or want to continue the conversation, please do feel free to reach out. I will leave my business card, the email and stuff here so you can reach out if you have more comments for Adobo Magazine or even for British Council. Okay, I'll pass it back over to you, Lai.
Thanks, Chaz. Today, we're also very fortunate to have British Council in the Philippines Country Director, Pilar Aramayo Prudencio. So she will be here to welcome us all to this global conversation. Pilar, would you like to take the floor?
Yes, Lai. Chaz, thank you very much. And good afternoon to everyone in the Philippines and in the region. And good morning to those of you joining us from the UK. On behalf of the British Council, I would like to welcome you to our webinar once again, Lessons on Digital Transformation. This is the second of 3 webinars of our series, Communities of a New Future. The British Council, as some of you may know, is the United Kingdom's organisation for cultural relations and educational opportunities. We build connections, understanding and trust between people of the UK and other countries where we work through arts and culture, education and the English language. We help young people to gain the skills, confidence and connections that they're looking for to realise their potential and to participate in strong and inclusive communities. We support them to learn English, to get a high quality education and to gain internationally recognised qualifications. Our work in arts and culture stimulates creative expression and exchange and nurtures creative enterprise. More than 20 years ago, the UK pioneered the concept of the creative industries. Today, the creative industries are part of a global market worth nearly £2,000 billion, and it is one of the world's fastest growing sectors. The creative industries are recognized, as you all very well know, as a source of innovation, of economic growth, of personal well-being and community cohesion. And we know that creative industries often find their place or their home, let's say, in creative hubs. These are the spaces, your spaces, where the dynamic networks and the connections between creatives and creative practitioners happen. Hubs are the places, which can be physical or virtual, where talents, disciplines, and skills come together to learn, share, and experiment. Hubs, as you know, are deeply rooted in the specific cultural contexts and the communities and economic ecosystems where they belong, which makes them, of course, super diverse. Hubs include or can include co-working spaces, maker spaces, design studios, fab labs, and art collectives. And these may host startups, MSMEs, freelancers, and independent artists all the same. They can also encompass a range of industries such as theatre, music, fashion, design, game development, animation, amongst many others. And it is in this diversity and flexibility that practitioners find the right space to fit their creative activity within their community. And at the same time, it is the diversity of hubs that sometimes makes them rather elusive. Counting them, classifying them, evaluating their impact, and fully understanding their needs and their potential are sometimes challenging activities. The British Council has been committed to supporting hubs around the world to develop relevant, diverse, and future-facing creative economies with long-term links to the United Kingdom. Our programs have allowed us to work with over 1,000 creative hubs globally over the past 5 years. And in Southeast Asia, we support hub leaders and their communities with study tours, with grants, programs, research and fellowships that include mentoring, management training, grants, and networking opportunities. In this way, we connect the best of the UK with the world and the best of the world with the UK. These connections lead to an understanding of each other's strengths and of the values and challenges that we share. And we're now precisely facing extremely challenging times. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a huge impact in almost every aspect of our lives and on how we work. We acknowledge the challenges for all communities and for all sectors during this time, including, of course, the creative community. The offices, the shared spaces, and the markets that creatives depend on for livelihood have been closed for probably months now. Live gatherings and travel are very limited, as we all know. And the simple and traditional face-to-face interaction and conversation now seems a very distant and remote possibility. And it's in this context precisely that we believe that the role of the British Council as a connector of people and communities through culture is essential. In our conversations with the hubs we work in Southeast Asia, we identified a need for a space to gather and to simply share stories at this time of difficulty and challenge. And by connecting creative hub leaders from around the world and sharing experiences from Southeast Asia and the UK, we want to bring together critical reflection, empathy, and solidarity to imagine what creative hubs could look like in the future. This webinar will showcase the incredible resilience of hubs. We started at the end of May, as Lai mentioned, and we want to discover how moving to more digital solutions and reshaping ways of working has allowed some hubs to remain relevant to their communities. With that, I'd like to thank our speakers, TJ, Riz from the Philippines, Gillian from Scotland, and Hogi from Indonesia, who will be sharing their journey to transition to digital spaces. Grateful thanks also to our learning partner, Thames International Business School, and to the Department of Trade and Industry through the Design Center of the Philippines for their continued support to the creative industries. Many thanks to our media partners, Adobo Magazine and Whiteboard Journal. And last but not least, thanks to the British Council Arts team for coordinating this series of webinars. Special thanks to the Philippines team, Lai, Mark, Henry, Randall, and Cons, Marianne, Agnes, for your brilliant organization as ever. I hope that the experience of our speakers and the stories of those who will meet virtually in these webinars will provide insights and inspiration to change our ways of working in the short term, to reshape our future in the long term, and to continue to build a stronger creative community. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Pilar. Yeah, thank you for putting a context to why we are doing this this gathering. I think it's really important to understand, you know, how this came about. So thank you for that. Let me hand over the floor now to Shaz. Shaz will just present to you who is in the room basically today and what your thoughts are. Thanks again, Pilar.
Thank you, Pilar. Thank you, Lai. Yeah, so we'll take a look at some of the information that we gathered from our session so far. So first of all, geographically, I think that's the first one. Yes, So we have 21 countries represented today. And that's an amazing participation. I think that, of course, we're really centralized in, my chat box is covering it, but we're centralized in the Southeast Asia part, mainly Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam. I think we have quite a few from Singapore, a lot from Malaysia. So we're really, really happy in Thailand, really the main focus. But as you see, we're really spread out amongst the countries, including, of course, the UK, Belgium. I see the comment here now. Yeah. So yeah, it's really, really awesome to see everyone's participation. I think on the next slide, yes. So which creative sectors are you predominantly working in? So we see here, sorry, I'm trying to like uncover my screen so I can see all the results. Here we go. So as you can see here, of course, most of us are in creative services. And then also naturally, especially being creative hubs in Southeast Asia, I feel like it's just only in line with what we're doing now and what's happening is that we have a lot of people predominantly working in cultural and natural heritage, along with visual communications, performing arts, visual arts, audio visual broadcast, and then down to books and press, industrial design, which is kind of not surprising to me, because of course, like I think a lot of creative hubs are you know, for their cultural initiative is a really big part of kind of what Southeast Asia especially has to give, and also the fact that we offer a lot of creative services. I mean, that really makes sense for where we are. We're known as a region that's kind of the next big thing as far as creative services go. And, you know, that goes without saying. That's why the British Council is here today. You know, the biggest creative services provider in the whole world. You know, we love the UK because of that and the example they lead in the creative sector. So in the next slide, so we're looking at the top 10 skills for digital transformation, and this was the feedback based on what did people need and what do we have in the community that we're in literally right now within our sessions. So of course, not of course, but the top is really the data analytics and visualization. And no doubt that's really important, especially coming from a media background. It's really important to simplify kind of either whether it's the juxtaposition of something you're trying to prove, how creativity helps your community, or how craft is an essential part of the cultural heritage of where you're based. No doubt, data analytics is so important for us. We all have been, everyone who's been involved in the Creative Hub has been in the position where you really have to cut to the chase. You know, you have to give your elevator pitch. And that's so much to do with data visualization. And I think that should be a bigger topic. You know, how are other people doing it? Could we share how people are visualizing their data in Southeast Asia? I think that's a really important discussion point for a lot of hubs that are struggling with the other skills that we're going to see that we need here. So of course, something else that's really needed is digital marketing, which I mean, skills, yeah, that we need is digital marketing, which is, to my surprise, I thought we were really great at digital marketing in Southeast Asia. I think that it's also a matter of reaching out and seeing, is your hub tapping all the related sectors? In the Philippines, for example, I feel like there is a bigger gap than I realized between people that do craft and people that do advertising. And that's kind of why I really love my job at Adobo Magazine, is that we bridge that gap between, you know, between advertiser and filmmaker. We really create the conversation there where it's a skill set and not, you shouldn't, as we know now, you know, you shouldn't peg yourself in so much in a particular industry where you're isolating yourself from what the country needs, what the creative community needs. Also, a couple of things that are surprising is the graphic design skills that are needed. I think that's a really easy conversation starter. So if you are in need of graphic design assistance, that is really a great basic to be like, hey, I don't know what I need. I don't know if I need data visualization. I don't know if I need a big marketing scheme. But if you need help being present, cleaning up your image, I think that's a great thing to ask for today within our group, that you need graphic design assistance, because I think that's a basic thing that a lot of people here can offer just to help people communicate their image. All right, let's go to the next slide. We also have a poll already put up here. So this is the poll of how does the skills mapping make you feel? So it should be a proper mix, and I'm getting a proper mix. Right now, the majority is it's making people feel eager. So that is the best. So 28% is eager, because we will keep this session open so people can still chat on our Zoom chat to connect. And of course, I'm always here to reach out and connect, and then we really welcome for people to literally say what they need, who they are. If you've been invited into this session, this is your space to communicate. So what are the positive results during your digital initiatives? So our biggest positive result has been an increase in audience engagement. And I think we've all really felt that from a media background. I think that more people have been consuming digital media, so people are really hungry to engage. So I think maybe where a lot of hub leaders, where a lot of creative leaders are looking right now is like, how can I maintain this? Maybe you felt to this point it took a lot of energy, or maybe you felt like it took more skills than you thought it did previously. So I'd like you to think about these positive results, but also look back at your journey to get the results that were positive. Because I know that a lot of people say they're really happy with their results, but they work relentlessly for the past 3 months, or they've gone above and beyond during this time. Let's see. Also, positive results, of course, business continuity, which is no surprise, because we're not fortune tellers. That's obviously why we're here today, to discuss what are the, strategically, what can we share with each other, what's worked, what we've had trouble with. This is kind of why we're having this session now, is so you can take this type of information and really have that outlook, because we're all venturing into this area where you're not sure of so much. So it's great to get real-time feedback of experience of people who said, this really worked for us surprisingly. And it can be specific. Don't be afraid about saying like, if it was LinkedIn or suddenly Twitter or suddenly, we're really into naming the specific solutions that you have, whether it was we created a newsletter or we checked in digitally with each other every day. Those are good specifics to get into when we're talking about our digital initiatives.
Thanks, Chaz.
Yeah.
Great. By the way, we'll send everyone the more or less complete results, right, of that survey after the session. But yeah, that's from all of you. So thank you for, again, sharing your insights with us. We'll jump now to our first speaker. Right. Okay. So TJ Parpan is president of the New Leaf Multimedia Outsourcing, Inc., and managing director of Thames International Business School. Thames International is the Philippines' first international college offering UK-based programs. And when the pandemic hit, Thames was able to transition 100% of its classes online. So yeah, ask TJ if you'd like to know more how they were able to do that. But I'm sure he will also be sharing their story today. TJ is passionate about discovering purpose that drives relevant transformation. And today he will tell us about the main principles needed for business transformation and, of course, the challenges that we have as we are faced with the need for more digital engagement. Take it away, TJ.
Hi, thanks for the introduction, Lai. I'm TJ. I'm calling in from Manila in the Philippines. So just a bit of context. I started my career, before getting into education, I started my career in graphic design in 1996. So that kind of carbon dates me. But from 1996, from graphic design, we progressed. We had our own transformation going into CRM consulting, database marketing, and eventually into digital marketing. And so even that one, so being familiar with digital in the early days when it wasn't, a thing, but also being involved in transformations, a bit of my context. And I now find myself in the education space. If I can go into the next slide, Henry. So I wanted to start with this slide, and don't bother trying to read all of the details if it's too small. I will read off what you can see on each of these slides. So I wanted to share also another set of survey results. And I started getting into or interested into digital transformation in 2014 as a consultant. So I had my career of owning my own agency, Denso Indio, for 17 years here in the Philippines. Then I went into consulting. Then I started doing some consulting work for independent agencies, and this was for Newworks Interactive. And trying to learn more about digital transformation because the landscape in 2014 had become very, very different from the year 2000. And the term transformation and digital transformation was starting to gain more prominence. And this was in 2014. And what I wanted to share in my research back then in 2014, I came across a company called Altimeter, a management consulting company that really focuses on digital transformation. And I referred to their studies, which they started doing in 2014, really tracking the state of digital transformation globally. And I think I just wanted to share this because this recent survey, which was released in 2018 and 2019, in that period, was done across thousands of global companies interviewing their management teams to get a better understanding, again, about the state of digital transformation. And I wanted to highlight first on the left side of this slide, it talks about the key drivers of digital transformation. The topmost being evolving customer and employee behavior and preferences. So again, there's a change not just from your customers. As you are a creative hub, an agency, a service provider, of course you are addressing what's happening in the market, but also it's something happening internally, changing preferences of your employees as well. The second driver indicated in this slide is increased competitive pressure. So that could be from local markets or even on a regional basis. And the third driver is growth opportunities in new markets. So as you have more experience in transforming your business or in digital channels, it actually opens up a larger market, maybe beyond where you're in, maybe in your city or even in your country. So those are an example of the key drivers of transformation. On the right side are the challenges that they found across all of their surveyed companies. The topmost being a low digital literacy or expertise among employees and leadership. So within the organization, digital literacy was deemed as a major challenge. The second challenge that came across the survey was digital transformation was being viewed as a cost center. So, it was too expensive and people didn't want to, treat it as an investment versus an expense. And the third challenge was company culture was being a barrier. So with all of this, it just again shows, I think, a lot of the things that we have been experiencing, and then what Shaz presented as the survey results, I think also validate these research studies on a global setting. So if I can go to the next slide. So as we talk about transformation, as I started doing the consulting work and also developing now the transformation of this, the agency I was in, Newworks, because we were doing our own digital transformation and also we began to offer that to clients. We decided to come up with our own definition that actually had a larger coverage beyond just digital, because in those days, when you talked about digital transformation, it was very much focused on platforms, tools, software, and the like. But total transformation, as we're seeing, should be considered as a business transformation. And the definition we used was, it is the insightful application of customer-centric and digitally driven strategies onto the key domains of a business that allows it to continuously evolve in its creation of value for its customers. So even in that definition, it's something that could work for any type of business. May you be a small and medium enterprise to a large conglomerate. And this was also, as we were doing our transformation efforts, seeing a lot of the white papers and research that were being put out by management consultants, digital agencies, and the like. That, it has to be, transformation has to be holistic, really cutting across the entire organization. So going to the next slide, we started understanding that transformation really is a movement from point A to point B, your current state moving into a future or ideal state. So if you can see on the top, there are 6 columns that talks about the stages of going from a business as usual, which could be your current state, moving all the way to the furthest stage, which is an organization that is innovative and adaptive. So in any transformation, again, the intent is to move from your current state to what you define as your ideal future state, to be truly transformed. And what we've seen across this transformation and all these stages are, there are a number of business pillars that should be transformed. And there are many frameworks for this. It can range from a low of 3 pillars to a high of 9. But what we're offering here is, the way we define the 7 key pillars of digital or business transformation. So the first pillar, and it's by no accident that it's number 1 comes up on top, is purpose. The first pillar that needs transformation is purpose, or an organization's why, or their reason for being. So when you talk about purpose, there are many ways of defining that. May that be from, Simon Sinek's Golden Circles, or even the concept of ikigai. But purpose is is an integral, or the most important pillar from our point of view in terms of what needs to be transformed. The next pillar following that would be people. And these are the organizations empowered and engaged human resources. So even if you're a small team or a large company, with the purpose, there's no way you can achieve what you want to, your targets or your goals. Of course, if you don't have the people behind you who are aligned through your culture, through your values, and also giving them the empowerment to do what's needed, as long as they are aligned with the company's culture. After people, the third pillar we're looking at is the process. It's an organization's ideal methods of doing work that drives efficient operations. And this can vary and differ from company to company, each company having their own, let's say, secret sauce or ways of doing work. But of course, basic project management principles may apply. But again, it differs greatly from company to company. The fourth pillar would be the product. That is what you bring to the market. That is what your product or service offering is. And we define it as an organization's innovative offering that delivers value across the customer's experience. And even this one, there's a lot packed into this statement, because it's not as if when you deliver your product or service, it's a one-time transaction. We know it's a relationship. We know it goes through an entire customer experience, and it's our duty as developing these products and services to make sure that we are always delivering value across our customers' experience, to make sure that we keep them coming back. The fifth pillar would be profit. And profit, some companies might put profit at the top, where it's all about making money. But even through our approach of digital transformation, profit should be, a net effect of following all of these pillars of change. If you're very clear about your purpose, and then of course the people who are helping you with that in finding, creating value, the profit should follow. And we define profit as, an organization's management of finances that provides stability and also potential for growth. The ability to keep, your cash flow up and running, to keep it there, but also to invest in, future efforts to continue your innovation. After profit, what should follow is the sixth pillar, which is position, an organization's unique market position that keeps it competitive. So because of you doing what you do, your way, your special way of your purpose, and all of the other pillars, your position in the market should start differentiating. Because you're starting to be different in all of these elements and aspects. And that brings us, as we've defined, to the last pillar, which is perspective, kind of touching also on what Chaz mentioned in terms of in the research results of data and analytics. We define it as an organization's ability to derive actionable insights from data. So at this point in our, in terms of access to a lot of digital tools, may it be spreadsheets or even the back end of a Facebook business manager campaign, there is a lot of information that can inform us in terms of how to move forward in terms of making our business decisions and our strategies. So again, when we look at this, it's understanding again how you define your own pillars. May they be 7 or your own definition, but again, understanding where you are, your current state, and how much do you want to improve it to bring it to your future or ideal state in terms of your transformation. And coming up to my last slide, it just actually emphasizes the concept again of culture. Culture being important, culture being defined by your purpose and driven by your people, because successful transformations are ultimately about culture. All of these articles come from various management consultants and tech white papers. And it's really telling, and it, again, even on their own research, even far back from 2014 to more current articles, it's really about culture. Because we all know that we can always, there's a lot of technology that is free, but we can always pay for new licenses and the like. But if our culture is not strong, then it ends up being just a purchase or acquisition of a new platform. But we might still end up being lost because our purpose or our North Star that guides us is not defined. And this was also an example of my coming into Thames International as the managing director late last year. And as I came in, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that even as far back as 2018, we had already been experimenting with a blended learning approach. So in 2018, we were already having dry runs of our own learning management system, seeing how we could go on to online learning. So much so when the lockdown was announced on March 16, when we had to, that Monday after the lockdown announcement, we had already been able to onboard our lecturers and our students to 100% online learning management system. So our education did not stop all the way to being able to graduate all of our students, or let them finish this term, which finished a few weeks ago, 100% online. But again, that's not a testament, I think, to being ready technologically, but because of the culture of Thames already being inherently innovative and collaborative. It was something that was part of the culture, even from when the school was conceived from 1999, and seeing it happening in 2018. So again, that successful transformation of the school to go 100% online over the span of a few days, and for us to continually improve it from the feedback of our lecturers and our students, is all rooted in having also a culture that really espouses and supports innovation and collaboration. So again, the digital transformation, again, or any business transformation will truly be successful if your culture is clearly defined by your purpose, your North Star, and of course the people that will drive it. So I think that's it for my part of my presentation. I think I can field a question or two, and then I'll also be around until the end for the panel discussions.
Thank you so much, TJ. So the company is Altimeter, the one who...
Yes, the one that came out with the study. I can post a link to that actual study later in the chat box for everyone.
All right. Just to quickly summarize 3 points that I got from your presentation. Business transformation is about being customer-centric. It's about being digitally driven. It's a continuous evolution of the creation of value, right? So that's for point 1. Point 2 is transformation is a move from our current state to a future ideal state. And I think that's definitely where a lot of our hubs and communities and organizations today are going through. And the third one is that the key to transformation is culture. So it's about the people, your values, and your purpose. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So we will have a chance to do a Q&A after our next presentation. I hope you don't mind.
No problem.
If anyone has a question, I hope you can wait until after our next speaker's presentation, who is Reese Fernandez Ruiz. So she is one of the most awarded and influential social entrepreneurs in the Philippines. Her expertise includes enterprise development, strategic management, sustainable design, and product development. She is president and founding partner of Rags to Riches, a social enterprise improving the lives of Filipino urban poor artisans through upcycled, eco-ethical, and sustainable fashion. She's also the founder of ThingsThatMatter.ph, a marketplace and community of advocates that creates positive impact and inspires an intentional lifestyle. So today, Reese will talk about how she has transformed her business and her community even before and after the crisis hit. And she'll also talk about some innovative projects that she's working on. Reese, let's welcome you.
Hi, hello. Thank you
Hi.
so much for the introduction, Lai, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. My name is Reese, and it's an honor to be sharing the virtual stage with all of you. So I'll go to my next slide. Digital transformation is not an option, it is the way forward. So it is absolutely necessary. A bit about our company. Our 13-year-old brand is called Rags to Riches, and we are a fashion design house empowering community artisans from all over the Philippines. So as you could imagine, our work is very high touch, very on the ground, and our products are very tangible. They're actually bags and clothes and home accessories. So next slide. Next slide, pre-pandemic, which is now kind of a history marker right now, just like AD and BC, we now have PP, pre-pandemic, which is just a few months ago. It's hard to imagine, but it is. We have the following sales channels. So we have our physical store, which is about 6 years old, our online presence, which is also about 13 years old as us. So we started selling online and maintaining a website from the very beginning. As a young company with mostly young people, we were very comfortable with technology from the start. So we have online stores called ThingsThatMatter.ph, which is our social enterprise and meaningful product marketplace. And of course, Rags2Riches.ph. And we have social media through Facebook and Instagram, and we also have corporate partners. So that's how we sell our products. So we have all of these channels to sell and communicate to our enterprise and to communicate our enterprise to our advocates. So our main goal for having all of these is to continue and enrich the livelihood of our community artisans. That's our purpose, as TJ was mentioning a while ago. As an enterprise built because of this mission, you could probably imagine that we have been through so much, like a lot of challenges throughout the years. And we have been through so many near-death experiences already. In retrospect, this actually really helped us prepare for 2020. TJ mentioned earlier about purpose and culture, and we truly, truly believe that. We truly believe that our purpose is enabling us to weather this pandemic. In the next slide, you will see what happened when the pandemic happened and the lockdown started. So we moved quite fast. We have really good practice, again, with crisis and difficult situations. So that helped a lot. We were able to pivot our assets first. In our case, our sewing machines to make face masks and other essentials instead of our usual bags. Because of course, during a lockdown, not a lot of people would go out and want to bring fancy, nice artisanal bags. They need and want essentials. Through social media, Zoom, Google Hangouts, Google Meets, Google Sheets, and Facebook Messenger, we were also able to constantly and consistently communicate with our team. So we meet about twice a week, every Monday and every Friday. We also communicate to our artisans via Facebook Messenger because we have to also consider their situation and the data that they have in their phones. So Facebook Messenger, they all have it. Facebook, they all have it. Slack, maybe not. Other apps, maybe not. So we had to also look at that to make sure that we can communicate properly. And of course, to our advocates as well via our social media. So pre-pandemic, we have already been communicating constantly with each other anyway. Technology just enabled us to do that remotely. During the first few weeks of the quarantine, we were also able to even launch a collection, that's the third picture here, with a program of Pay Now, Deliver Later. Selling the collection helped us continue artisan livelihood. And at the same time, the profits generated from the sales were donated to frontliners in the form of PPEs, food, and other essentials. And lastly, and this is something that we're continuing currently and in the future, we are creating innovations and products for the future as well. So that is actually me in the fourth picture, wearing our version of an outer protective suit. So my husband took that picture and my son was actually running around the makeshift set. So during these challenging times, we challenge ourselves as well with creating, using what we have and starting with what we have. In the next slide, this is my last slide, just puts together all the learnings that we have realized throughout the past few months. That feels like a past few years. These are not particularly revolutionary or new, but they are lessons that were just emphasized and maybe even underscored because of this crisis. So first, we have learned that it is much better to over-communicate than under-communicate. And when we communicate, we should do it constantly and compassionately with our team and advocates. So if there is something that's unclear, that is on us as leaders to clarify and not up to the people listening to interpret. So that's something that I take very seriously as a leader myself. Things that are too open to interpretation right now could potentially be dangerous. So another lesson is to make things easy for your advocates to reach you through various channels. That's another one. So this one naman is mostly for your customers. If the customers are on Facebook, go there. If they are in Viber, go there. So make it easy for the for the advocates to get in touch with you. Another lesson that could have its own challenges actually is to equip your team with the tools. Not everyone would have good internet access or gadgets or tools to be able to work from home or work remotely. So in our case, we created a program for some of our team members and artisans to get access to bikes, sewing machines so they could sew at home, and even laptops. And then other one, while we are all worried about survival, and that is definitely our number one priority, we can do things for the present, like find ways to earn, create value that people need right now, and even control costs. But while we do that, while we're tactical, let's not forget to think about the long term as well. So read articles about the future, join webinars like this one and more, and spend time to learn and experiment. And lastly, do not ignore numbers. So these days are extra challenging because of the uncertainties of the world. So whoever you are and wherever you are, chances are you are also affected in one way or another. Like if you are in business, your sales may have been intensely hit. If you're a creative or a freelancer, your work is affected as well. If you are employed, the uncertainties around you may also be stressing you out right now. One thing I have learned though is that when you are in a crisis and your finances or analytics are scary to look at, that is actually the most important time to actually look at them. So face them, compute them, monitor them daily, and find ways to augment them rather than pretend that they don't exist. Digital transformation as my last sentence for this segment before the panel. Digital transformation is not just about being online for sales or digitizing your supply chain or work. It is also about a mindset of transparency, accessibility, and collaboration. So it applies to sales, marketing, supply chains, operations, and even finance and accounting. And I'm excited later to talk to the panel and to get your questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Reese. Just to quickly summarize your presentation, this is what I got, so it could be very subjective. The first is that digital transformation is not an option, it's a must. Second is I chose this because I think it's very important. Communicate with openness and compassion and with clarity. And the third is do not ignore the numbers or the data. I think that keeps popping up today. And I know also that you do your research. You like to be informed through numbers and data to also help with your decision making, right? Okay, so we have some time now to get one question each for TJ and Reese from the audience. We don't see any questions right now in the chat box, but does anyone want to ask their question directly?
I think I saw a question on my end. I'm reading it out.
Okay.
If I have any thoughts on how to support new graduates on accessing the labor market, which might be transferable to supporting creative workers as well.
Sorry, TJ, do you mind sharing who asked that question? Just so we have an idea.
Well, it was Roxana who forwarded to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of that, I think that's the good thing about now the digital space, because there's so many platforms for you to put if you're a creative individual, to put your work out there, to put your portfolio out there, maybe having your own Facebook channel or Behance or other ways of putting it out there. But even locally, I mean, some of my friend and one of the ICE graduates, so we have the Innovation and Creative Entrepreneurship Program of TEMS, which focuses on creatives and hubs. But one of them, AJ Di Malukot, is a very strong proponent of the creative freelancing community. So it is a good time to go out there and put your services and see what's out there. But I think being a creative professional sometimes, and I experienced that when I started graphic design, it's like I became so connected to the technical skill of designing. But inherently, as a creative, you're a problem solver. So the soft skills of problem solving, communication, all of that together becomes your strength, and that becomes your secret sauce. So going out into the market, part of your creativity is seeing how you can put those technical skills and soft skills to see how you can problem solve beyond what you think is the space you're in. It's not just about, let's say, graphic design. Graphic design is inherently using the proper design techniques to solve a problem. That can go into many things, which might not be visual in nature, but you're using the same process of taking things apart, bringing it back together, which is, again, the concept of innovation. It's very, you can deconstruct and put it back together and see another way of looking at it. So I think that's it. Creatives, I think, inherently have that. So use those skills, your technical skills, your soft skills, put your portfolio out there, communicate with the marketplace, see what's out there. Don't undercut, don't be afraid to put value to your work. I think that's a challenge I've seen for a lot of Filipinos, where they are afraid to put a price to their work when it's very, very good. There is value there. But it's inherently a challenge now because of the COVID situation, where everyone also wants to manage expenses. So it's also a time for creativity and collaboration. How can you still offer your services and still, create value for yourself and also for your potential clients?
Thanks, TJ. Maybe just to connect that to the role of hubs. I think that is very important also to not forget at this time, as hubs are there to support artists and also creatives and also students also, to keep reminding their stakeholders to give value to their work, even though, sometimes maybe we're kind of desperate to land a client or something. I think it's very important to not forget the value of our work. Okay, thanks for that. So do we have a question for Reese? I know that we have now a couple of questions in the chat, but does anyone, we're prioritizing people who want to, right now, for now, who want to ask her a direct question and maybe turn on their mic or camera? Just raise your hand if you do, and if not, we'll go to the chat. Anyone want to ask? Okay, no one's raising their hand. All right. Okay, so we have a question from Isabel Marie Dobles. For Reese, how are you able to ensure the safety of your artisans and craftsmen from the virus? Were all of them working from home? If so, how did the logistics work?
Yes, so thanks so much for the question. And the interesting thing about our work is that we started with the decentralized production system almost from the beginning, like 13 years ago. Most of our artisans are weaving from home. So they weave the panels. I actually have a bag right here that I can show you. This is purely accidental. I just happen to have this here. So they would weave this part. in their home, and then we would put together, and this is also woven by another community, and then we would put together the whole bag in a workshop. So the workshop is the one that's a bit more centralized, but a lot of the work is done at home. During when the pandemic happened, what happened is we shifted to more decentralized again, which we're used to because that's how we started. So it wasn't a huge adjustment for us. So what we did to make sure that everybody's safe, aside from the usual lessons on washing your hands and doing social distancing, which we did prior to the lockdown, by the way, we had a seminar for them on all of that, is to also make sure that we don't come together in the place yet because safety was more important. So a lot of them did their work in their homes. Those with sewing machines did the assembly in their homes. And we also shifted to face masks. And then we used third-party logistics provider to go from one house to another. We're still doing all the social distancing and hand washing to transfer materials from one community to another. So we also disinfect the products before the courier gets them, and then when they arrive at the location. So it has a lot of moving parts, but we were able to do it, thankfully, because our team is really good. Our production team is very small, but they're very able and agile.
Thanks, Reese. Shaz, do you have any comments before we move on to our next speaker? You want to add?
No, I mean, I did see one comment. Hold on, let me just scroll up.
Is it a comment or a question?
A question for Reese.
Yeah,
maybe for
Jillian.
from Jillian. Okay.
Yes.
We have. All right. Let's answer one more then.
Okay. So her question is:
so
are there aspects of your business that you have pivoted so much that you can't imagine going back to, or do you expect to continue what you were doing before and add these new complementary elements? So excellent question as well. We're quite fortunate because our assets are sewing machines, and with sewing machines, you can make a lot of other things other than bags. So we haven't pivoted that much in terms of changing machineries or investing on a different process. But we're not very precious about what product we're going to come out with. See, when we started, it was all about creating livelihood opportunities for artisans. However we're going to do that, we're going to do that. So it just happened to be fashion and design in the beginning, but it doesn't always have to be. So we're not very, very precious about the product. We're precious about the purpose. And that will just guide whatever we're going to go to in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Reese. Again, another, I think, important reminder that keeps coming up is the purpose has to be there. If it's there, then hopefully and most likely, according to PJ, the profit will follow, or the funds will follow, right, for the nonprofits out there. Okay, right. So let's jump to our next speaker, Gillian Eason, who is the co-founding director of Creative Dundee in Scotland, which supports creative talent to grow and sustain their practice in and around Dundee by connecting and amplifying the city's creativity. So Gillian has a background in using digital design and innovation processes. She formerly worked with Nesta, the UK's Innovation Foundation, and today she will talk about We Dundee, a crowdsourcing digital platform first launched in 2013, which places citizens and creativity at the heart of the conversation about the future and recovery of the city of Dundee. So We Dundee as a campaign was also actually one of the main drivers of Dundee becoming a UNESCO Creative City for Design. We'd like to welcome Gillian.
Good evening.
Hi, Gillian.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Lai. Good evening, afternoon.
Take it away, Gillian.
Oh, thank you. So I'm sure, like many of you here, I think fondly back to life this time last year. As a creative community, we rely on connections with others, the random chance meetings and the slightly more constructed events we attend, which help us develop new networks, collaborations and opportunities. Yet now, a few months into this new reality of doing mostly everything through this flat screen, I actually feel in more ways more connected, more together with others than I did before. And speaking to some in our community in Scotland, they also feel more enabled and activated. It's just very different and still kind of awkward at times. So as a creative hub, Creative Dundee doesn't have a physical space. We move around the city running projects and supporting creative communities through events like this one here last year, which had 800 attendees and 3,000 people tuning in online around the world for free. So lowering the barriers to access through digital participation has always been key to our work. So our digital platform has always been our home, which meant that we were actually pretty well equipped to continue our work during the pandemic, despite most of the projects and events being cancelled for the foreseeable. I should probably say now that I don't think you can solely just digitally transform. Having a learning, adaptive mindset enables you to transform. I think digital is part of that, interwoven throughout the culture of the organisation, which TJ and Rhys have already both eloquently shared. Essentially for me, digital isn't always a standalone, and it isn't simply about widgets and products. We're still learning and don't have all the answers, and I'm getting more comfortable in this discomfort. So today I'd like to share some of the initiatives we've been developing to make sure that we continue to pass the mic just that little bit further and more distance than ever before. So on the next slide, please. If I was speaking to you next month, I'd be able to show you our new website, which looks kind of like this. However, again, I want to stress that I don't believe digital transformation is a flash new website. We've operated for many years successfully on blogs held together literally by plugins and sticky tape. What is critical is the immense original content we create, developed by our brilliant digital producer, Sam, who's here today, which demonstrates the diversity and the capabilities of those in our communities and highlights the challenges facing them in our city. This visibility and reach for many is so critical during this difficult time. As Sam says, we hold a reflective mirror up to the city so that it can see itself and understand itself better. So on our programs and events, we've just finished running our peer leadership program, Fabric, which aims to build collective intelligence in our city's creative sector. Fabric's now in its 5th year, online for the first time, and literally was delivered as we were entering lockdown. It's had great feedback since from participants on the session, including the one-to-one remote coffee meetups arranged in between. We've also been hosting weekly breakfast Zooms, which have helped those in our broader community feel less isolated, and are now developing some really interesting, solid conversations about what we want and need from our city and creative sector and life as we go forward. So some of the next projects we are embarking on include a time and resource sharing platform, commissioning those who are underrepresented to have their stories heard, and developing a cross-country lab event to explore what comes next for our communities. We're thinking a lot about how we offer the type of radical hospitality we give in real life online and keep this at the heart of what we do. We're using a number of digital tools to share learning and insights across our organisation to better inform our future work and ultimately the sustainability of creative communities. So on the next slide, as Lai mentioned, we Dundee, as a small adaptable organisation, we've always collaborated well with partners locally, nationally and internationally. It's simply in our DNA. In 2013, we first launched a citizen sourcing platform, We Dundee, to put the voices of citizens at the heart of the conversation about their future by asking what citizens would love to see happen in the future of Dundee. Over 3,000 people, our collaborators, responded, and many of those ideas have turned into a reality since. In May this year, we relaunched We Dundee in partnership with UNESCO City of Design Dundee by asking what's been surprising about your Dundee during these times, and these are some of the many responses. Hundreds of people have so far shared their thoughts, positive and not so, and have got creative through the platform developed by local digital designers, which enables you to create and not just consume and share your own designed artwork. So please do have a look and play. As lockdown restrictions ease, the second phase question is coming soon, and we'll ask citizens to reimagine Dundee and share their views on what needs to happen next. Far more than this simply being a feel-good platform which people revisit again and again, which they do, The views will also feed directly into the city's recovery plans. We may not be totally transforming online civic democracy yet, but we're testing out within our means and capabilities to explore what impact we can create now and possibilities for the future. However, the greatest challenge in this whole conversation about digital transformation today is, of course, the digital divide. The millions of people facing barriers to digital poverty and access. For this project in 2013, we linked up with local libraries, shopping centres, attended community festivals and community centres, and invited people to share their ideas on paper to make sure no one was left behind. During lockdown, the crossover into the physical domain has been much more challenging to initiate early on, especially doing things as ever on a shoestring, but we're getting there. This work is to be continued. So my last slide, please. So I wanted to finish by highlighting 3 points I feel are important to consider when adapting, pivoting and transforming, which hopefully I've touched on in our own experiences of today. I think answering these ultimately leads us to find out the difficult, hard to hear stuff. Is what we're doing still relevant, and what's the value we need to create now? There are many models out there to help you do this, and taking the time to find frameworks that work for you is time well spent, in my view. So to wrap up, I just want to briefly touch on each of these. So your pressing issues, these will of course be unique to your place and sector. Although we are all meshing and using global tech to work increasingly hyper-local. So in a hub context, what does it mean to be a community now? We are in great danger of leaving some behind through digital inequality. However, for others with maybe accessibility needs, offering online distance participation could be a positive life-enhancing option. These are universal issues that we all need to act on. In terms of your capabilities and assets, it was really great to see that the list of future skills needed earlier. We absolutely all need good digital literacy. People will be trying to sell us all the digital stuff, so we need to have a good understanding of how to use them. We've always opted for using simple off-the-shelf tools, testing and proving they work, low budget style. For me, when I think of those future skills needed for a better digital future, I also think of collaboration, creative leadership, systems thinking, activism, narrative development, storytelling, analytical thinking, and the ability to bring in those with lived experiences to truly understand issues from all perspectives. Ultimately, being open and willing to learn is at the core of moving forward and adaptation. And finally, on partners and allies, you don't have to, nor should you, try to do everything alone or develop those very specific skill sets. Partnerships offer huge opportunities to trial new models of working and reach new audiences and customers, particularly during this time. Being transparent, locally relevant, and being truly collaborative is how we work with partners. It served us well over the years to gain reputation, community support, and amazing collaborations and paid work with partners. For us, this is both the value we create and the source of our strength. I'm really glad to be part of this incredibly timely, globally relevant conversation with you all today. Always exploring, always learning. Thank you.
Great, that's so inspiring, Jillian. Thank you so much. And yeah, I know that it's pretty early where you are, so we really appreciate you being here today also. Just to quickly summarize you, some points, 3 points that I got from your presentation. Digital transformation is not about a flashy new website. It's about the people. And that's what that's what We Dundee is all about. It's about the citizens of Dundee. The second one is the greatest transformation challenge is the digital divide. And how do we resolve that? And the third is we need to have good digital literacy when we talk about transformation. So we need to have an understanding of how to use all these things that people will be telling to us, especially these days. Great. Okay, so what we'll do now is, if you don't mind, Jillian, we will go to Hoagie first, and then we will get questions for you after his presentation. Okay, great. I think so we can try to keep the time. Our fourth and last speaker, and I hope you're ready for some music and some entertainment, is Hoagie Riono, who is the co-founder of Future 10 based in Jakarta, Indonesia. He is a DJ and music producer and has topped the charts with his band Agriculture, He has scored music for major films and advertisements. His hub, Future 10, is the legendary group behind a variety of the best lifestyle events and festivals, attracting up to 80,000 visitors on ground. 25 years in the scene, Future 10 has now evolved into a creative think tank and a music media and digital events channel, Echoes Indonesia. So today, Hoagie will talk about the magic behind his online disco events and his plans for migrating Bright Spot Market, which is a festival, into an interactive festival online. And of course, the need to collaborate with other creatives in order to digitally transform. Welcome, Hoagie, and again, thank you for joining us also.
Thank you, Lai. So, hello everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and sane. It's been a tough time for everyone for sure. It's been pretty crazy here for us. We've been doing basically we've been doing physical events and parties and anything for like 25 years. So it's been quite a journey this past few months, but it's actually been, it's a blessing in disguise. It is tough, but it's also kind of a kick in the butt that we should have done a few years or years back ago to kind of switch to have kind of an online and offline thing. But we were so focused on offline, but now now we've kind of basically gone 100% online. So maybe let's start on the first slide. So just a brief history of who we are. Basically we've been around for 25 years, since 1995. We started by promoting an underground night at this dingy club, kind of hidden, in the central Jakarta area. So yeah, basically, since our first night, it became a massive hit, and it became kind of the Jakarta thing to go to for kind of the young generation. So a few years on, we've kind of transformed into a real business, and like we were actually the one who organized the first major dance music festival in Indonesia. We started it with it was an imported it was from England before, Gate Crusher Sound System. That was the first one, but then we decided to do our own homegrown festival, which is like that house about 18,000 people. So yeah, so we know now we've morphed into more we kind of grew tired of the big music festival scene, because it was so we moved to more clubs, more so then we also kind of evolve into doing lifestyle events and more art stuff as well. So it's it's been quite a journey. So next slide. Basically, if you see these scenes, these photos on the left, these were kind of what we were, what the Future 10 events were. It's about vibe, it's about crowd, dancing, loud music was kind of like the key ingredients. So yeah, basically, we don't know when we're gonna do this ever again. So we came up with a solution. So the next slide. Basically, when the pandemic began, so we basically moved all our events to YouTube. Basically, we've built our YouTube channel called Echoes about 3.5 years back. So basically, we've had it set up, but we haven't really maximized it. But we've been doing like curating a lot of new talents, and we've been recording performances and stuff. Kind of like alternative music media on YouTube. But then since the pandemic hit, we moved basically all our major club events, which is back in the days, Turn on Plastic. And then, so the response has been amazing. The first live stream that we did we managed to get 10,000 views with no ads. It was nothing paid. It was all basically a community-based word of mouth promotion. And, you know, we figured what would kind of replace the interaction. So then we use the YouTube live chat section as kind of our way to interact with our community. So it's been crazy, but we've also managed to collaborate. Like what Jillian said, collaboration was key. So we collaborated with everyone from Bandung, from Yogyakarta, from Bali. So we've been doing like multi-room live streams. We've been working with everyone in the scene that can live stream from home, or they have their own spaces of they know spaces that they can use. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, because like we transform our office into like a recording studio. So it's all very DIY. But yeah, it's been crazy. So the graphic, I mean, of course the first ones were always the best, but then you see kind of a dip in the viewership. But the way we did it was we innovate every week, and we, you know, we don't have the same background. We use like visuals. We collaborate with visual artists. So that's the key. So next slide. So yeah, basically this is kind of been our motto for the past 25 years. We've been very subculture driven. Innovation mindset is kind of basically in our DNA, and alternative movement. So the subculture driven, I mean, we've been creating events and activations that are driven by subculture community. Subculture, because when we started back in 1995, the electronic music that we like was very subculture. It was very underground. It was very new, and it was very not the norm of what you hear in the Jakarta nightlife. So I think that DNA kind of, you know, stick with us for 25 years. Even though we've morphed into doing other stuff, it's still in our DNA. The same with innovation. You know, we're always open to new ideas. We always try to be the first on executing ideas in, you know, events and like music and stuff. It's always like we have an idea, we execute as fast as we can. It's best to be the first rather than to be the follower for us. And alternative movement, basically, we always try to serve a different perspective to what is going on right now in the scene, or what's going on in the country. We always try to kind of twist things around and then give our take in it. So that's kind of how we've been doing it. So collaboration is key, because we are who we are because of the community. So it's best to work with everyone in the community, and it's always to kind of help each other out, because like the same with what Jillian said, because even though we are digitally connected, we still need to be we have to go beyond that. We have to kind of work together, and we have to kind of, you know, because everyone's struggling at the moment in the music scene. No one's making money, no one is performing. So it's good to kind of keep everyone's spirits up. That's the reason why we started the live streams, because we know like if we don't do this, the scene is going to die. So that's why we started the live streams. And it's always been free. We never charge any money for it. We've been relying on people giving us tips, digital tips. Basically, you can give us money through transfers, and if you like what we do, and then in the first month, it was all the money that we made a decent amount of money, but it was all for charity for the COVID-19 pandemic, because we know how hard it is in Indonesia, in the hospitals, in the frontliners don't have enough supplies. So we donated basically all our money for the first month. But even from there, you know, we move forward, and we try our best to kind of connect to potential sponsors, potential clients, and it's been working out really good. We've had our first sponsored live stream past 2 weeks ago. So it's been quite a journey for 3 months. I mean, it's kind of a time. It's we have to invest the time and effort into it, even though there's no money. But we believe that it will come because we put this dedication, and people will recognize that we put so much effort into it, even though there is no money in it. But now because now people are supporting us, people are sending us sending us free visuals, sending us free like decorations. Actually, we can go to the video so you guys can see what we've been doing for the past 3 months. I've collected a basically this is so basically, yeah, we transform our office into this and we try to modify it every week. And we add on more decorations. We add on, we work with like visual artists that works remotely. Like this visual artist was working from a different studio from us. That was basically like live stream to us, and then we live stream out. Super technical, and yeah, it was a super challenge. But yeah, I think we can lower the volume a little bit. Yeah, the whole thing with this kind of the live streams. I mean, if you look at the numbers, you can. It's different from like physical events. We can see it's a numbers game, and then you can see if it's a dip this week, then we have to innovate for next week. We have to add on more gimmicks, more collaborations, more. You have to kind of see the numbers. You have to see the numbers, and you have to see kind of like what you can do for next week, how we can improve. So that's why we collaborate with everyone in the scene, and we share the wealth with all the tips that we get. We share the wealth with everyone, and it keeps our operations going. Yeah, that's basically what we've been doing for the past 3 months. We've been transforming all our big events into a series of live streams. um,
Hoagie, sorry, we didn't hear you so well, your last comment so well.
okay,
Could
okay.
you quickly repeat them? Like,
Yeah,
I think I heard it's all about the numbers.
yeah. So basically, I'll repeat what I said. Basically, before when we were doing big like festivals or like club events or you know everything you see kind of the numbers from ticket sales, and like it's very kind of physical. But then once you go into live streams are non-tangible, right? So it's all a numbers game. You see viewers, but then um, the viewership is the data. What you can do, basically the data for that week, that live stream of that week will dictate of like, okay, if there's a dip in viewership, we need to, we need to do more. We need to, make better visuals. We need to kind of add on more talent. We need to add on more people in the stream. And then sometimes maybe people are bored with the background. We add on visuals, we add on. So it's like because I think it gets for digital. I mean, it's like what you said, because we are just looking at a screen, so it does get boring very quickly. So that's why the innovation part has to come into play. We need to, we need to try out new things every week. I mean, some fail, some work, but most part, I mean, it's been great because people will see the effort, and then that effort always comes back to numbers, and that's kind of like what we've learned this past 3 months, which we've never experienced before. So it's very new to us. We're very new to this kind of digital event space. Yeah. Yeah, basically that was it. Like, hope that kind of gives a glimpse of how we've transformed our events. We're also working with a game developer right now. We're trying to work on our big culture festival, Bright Spot, MRKT. You can look it up on Instagram, or we have the website also, brightspotmrkt.com. Basically, that's an 80,000 people event. It's in a span of 3 days. We take up unused malls, we take up unused spaces, and we're trying to transform that into a digital event. So that is kind of a nightmare of its own, because how do you make because the thing is, like, I've went into a few kind of digital like marketplaces and digital fashion events and stuff, but then I think there needs to be a little bit more like interaction between the people. So I think there's a gamification involved. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever played Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is kind of a Nintendo game where you can make your own avatar, you can buy your own clothes, you can, like, you basically you have to make your own world. So that's kind of what we're going into. We're trying to recreate the space into a digital space, and then maybe have the event inside the thing, so you can connect with other people. So it's kind of a social platform plus event plus selling as well. So there will be a marketplace and music space and art performances. That's in the pipeline. We're aiming for December. And yeah, but basically this year our big events have just gone switched to digital. Yeah, so
Great.
yeah, that's about it. Because it can get very long if we.
Yeah, it's amazing everything that you've been doing. You've been very busy.
Yeah.
Before we go, we
Mhm.
will move to the open forum
Mhm.
soon, but just wanted again to summarize some of the points that I got from your presentation.
Yes.
So how do we imitate human interactions and the feeling of being part of a crowd that takes place at a musical event? And
Okay.
you're doing that through YouTube events, through your multi-room
Mm-mm.
discos,
Mm-mm.
multi-room live streams. And also what you're trying to do is you're offering a unique experience to audiences through constant innovation and offering a different perspective apart from what is normally offered by society. And
Yes.
that keeps your audiences on their them coming back. And the third is collaboration is key. So right now you're collaborating with game developers to
Mhm.
possibly translate a festival that's 80,000 people strong. And you need to collaborate with game developers to make that happen.
Yes.
So yeah. And of course you talked about the numbers, which again is something else that keeps popping up. Great. So we're
Yes.
kind of running behind on time. Thank you again, Hoagie. Can we ask all
Yes.
our speakers to join us again in our virtual stage, on our virtual stage?
Mhm.
Um,
Wow.
thank you so much for sharing with us your stories. And I feel like I also went on a tour, different countries and different worlds, just listening to you all. So we will now open the floor for questions. Like we mentioned earlier, if anyone wants to answer a direct question, please raise your hand. We will prioritize you, but if not, we can go to the questions in the chat box.
Yeah, we have a raised hand from
Yeah.
Amran Busron.
Okay.
Yeah, can we bring
Amran?
him? Yeah. is
Amran,
he-
yeah, feel free to turn on your camera or mic if that's comfortable for you. And make your question brief and do let us know where you're coming from. Is Amran there? Amran, okay. We'll give you 10 more seconds, maybe. If you're
Yeah.
trying to unmute or if you're having problems, feel free to, oh, okay, he was clapping his hand, not raising his hand. Okay, that's also great. It's always good to feel that someone is applauding. Okay, right, so we have a couple of questions. Who do we go with first? Okay, I'm just going through this because we don't know who they're for, right? But there's one for Hoagie. When artworks and musical concerts are showcased online, people tend to think that they are able to view for free. How can you gain income from the online parties, and how can you make the audience is willing to pay?
Okay. I don't have a solid answer for that yet, because the reason why we do it free is because we've been doing it for 25 years. I mean, we've been charging people for 25 years. So I think during these hard times, we believe that a free entertainment is what's kind of needed for everyone. But in a way, right now, how we make money is through donations, and then we are selling limited merchandise, and I think because we're also doing a digital music festival in September, which is on YouTube as well. The way we will make money from that is we are working with YouTube for the ad revenue. That's one. And number two is our main thing is sponsorships. Sponsorship is key, because I don't know, because it's still, I still don't feel right charging people for a ticket price to go see a digital event. I still think that should be for free. At least if they would like to support us, they can buy our products. I think that's still very much into what I believe. I mean, I'm sure it's not a popular, I'm sure that's not a popular opinion, but that's kind of like how we feel that works for us. And I'm sure it's different for other events or other organizers, but for other creators, but I think it works for us. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you, Hoagie.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, a lot of people are definitely interested how you were able to get some funds, right?
Yeah.
Through your new initiatives. Okay. So all right. We have a raised hand. Philemon, Iman, Blanco. Okay. Would you like to turn on your mic or your camera? Make your question brief and do let us know who it's for.
Yeah, I practically I address all the questions to any of the panelists. I'm into arts education with you know, particularly in dramatic arts, and I've been teaching online, and I have this question. I've been trying to really find answers. How, no, like how do we humanize technology to translate or to transfer human connections that can be felt in a virtual platform?
Who would like to answer that? And Iman, sorry, are you maybe thinking of some ways and tips that we could do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Would like to take this question?
I can take that. I think so. Technology, you know, the platforms in terms of education. I think the humanization is how we make that connection, because as educators, either you're a subject matter expert and you are passing on the skill, or if you're a teacher and educator, it's how do you, the role of educators or people passing on skills has changed very much. And I think that was already something coming even before digital platforms. that it is more of a conversation. It is really where it's also, there's an aspect of being a coach and a mentor, and also being a very good listener to the people you're with, if it's a one-on-one or a group of students, because that's where platforms actually, you can allow more interactions with more people. Because if it's still very much the old way of here's the content and please try it out, and it's the old way of teaching. There's actually one of the major things we saw is when we started going to digital online learning, it was really about how did we also get our lecturers to also change mindsets and change the way they're doing things. So and with that being said, it's still an ongoing process. But humanizing technology, I think, even if you went to the lowest common denominator, let's say if you were using Facebook or chatting on a Viber and sharing visuals, and if you had a good connection, I mean, like your relationship with the students or the people you're educating or learning actually from one another, it wouldn't really be much so focused on the platform itself, but the kind of the new way of relating to one another in terms of imparting and sharing knowledge. So I think the humanization of technology comes from also how do you establish different ways of communicating clearly, because yes, from a screen sometimes we miss the cues, the physical cues that we have going face to face, and more so if it was teaching performing arts or visual arts. There are very different things that you miss coming from from this kind of an environment. But I think part of it now, I don't think I can also give a ready answer that here's one way. But it's now again, but I think it's pretty much looking at it as the educator. The role of the educator actually now has changed as well. How do we guide conversations where we get to listen more? Because the humanization comes actually when there's more discussions happening, regardless of the platform. And I think that's when the technology starts falling away, because it's it's community getting involved and engaged, and the technology becomes invisible. Then I guess it becomes humanized, because you're not even thinking about is it Zoom, Fiverr, because you're actually connecting to one another. And again, it's easier said than done. But I guess it's trying to find that, establishing that strong connection to your community. That the technology just falls away and becomes invisible. And by the way, versus the kind of conversations that you may be having with that community.
Great. So it's about creating that engagement, and with technology as like the platform more than the main driver for engagement, right? We'd like to hear from Jillian. I know that you you do a lot of things with different kinds of people in Dundee. What can you give us some ways that you're able to connect the different citizens of Dundee?
Yeah, I've just actually added something into the chat there to save some time. But I think, having a personality, having a platform that has a personality is really important. That's difficult to do, but it can be done. And we all become quite different on screen, and there is a sort of formality that isn't normally there. Like I had notes today, I don't normally have notes. So there's some great articles out there, and that's one. How we connect with the body is really important when we're doing things like this. Sharing drawings, that kind of thing. Like, I think there's just loads of different ways we could be doing it, but we're just at the start of this process. But how we engage citizens, it's asking really honest questions and not being scared of replies as well. So being open to sharing critical views as well. And that's a really difficult balance to get right. But creating spaces that people feel genuinely able to give over their views, is one way.
All right. Do we have any more? Would anyone else like to raise their hand and ask a direct question before we go back to our list of questions? We have a long list of questions. Okay. All right. Okay. So, right. This one is from Annalisa Perez for Rees. How did you convince your artisans to adopt technology or this digital transformation?
Yeah, so what we didn't tell them is that it was digital transformation because that's not a very friendly term, especially for people who have other priorities like taking care of their families and surviving. If you say, guys, we need to digitally transform, then you will lose them. So the first thing we did is just to meet them where they are. And they were already on Facebook and they were on Facebook Messenger. So we just made sure that we had processes and systems so that we could communicate via Messenger. So we have different groups. We have time, like a certain time in a day to do a check-in. So we created some routines around the existing technology that's already comfortable for them. And we didn't call it digital transformation, we just called it talking to each other during this pandemic. So by just onboarding everyone on that chat group, so it wasn't huge because they already had their own chat groups for other things, and then creating some routines and rituals around it, we were able to make it work. So it starts from very simple things, and you get people to achieve something small, and then they will be more confident to achieve the bigger things. So when our artisans learned that we could coordinate via Messenger, when we said, "Can we also show you our Google Sheets for the for the production planning?" And some of them were already open to doing that, and some of them were able to do that well. So we were excited about that because we saw that the little opportunities and the little wins of using technology to enable communication and to enable collaboration um, led to even bigger things. So it really started small and it started simple.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think it goes back to the digital divide that Jillian was talking about. That, people don't necessarily understand digital transformation, but they do have a need to communicate. And right now, digital is the way to communicate. So we need to talk to them in a way that is familiar already to them. Okay, so there's a question here from Japing, and I'm not sure if this was already asked. I don't think so. But she asks, how do you ensure that we do not suffer from upskill burnout? Upskill burnout. Who would like to answer this question? For people who had to go through learning new things in order to adapt. Hoagie?
What was the question again?
How, how do you not suffer from upskill burnout?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can answer that because I've been doing this for 25 years. But I since going digital, I feel like the burnout can come even quicker. So that's why I think it's I don't know. I feel like you kind of need to still somehow work with as many people as you can, because in this basically um, I've never felt the unity that I feel right now, because the whole for us the whole scene is at a point where there's no more competition. We just kind of like we're all in survival mode. So I can ask this guy who's good at this guy's good at that, this guy's good at this guy's good at that, and then we kind of mesh everyone together, and that actually helps relieves my stress, because in the beginning, the first 2-3 weeks, I was doing everything myself. We were all designing all the artwork ourselves. We're doing all the streams, the video. I was doing the lighting, doing that, and performing, and doing social media, doing that. So it's that gets burned out super quick. So then I realized that I think it's better to just kind of collaborate with everyone. So, but I think with digital, it's easier in a way because we can all work from home. We can work remotely. So one guy can handle. Actually, the last one was like I was handling the stream from home, which is like broadcasted from somewhere else. And actually it works. The whole digital connectivity actually works really well in that way. So it's relieving the burden and kind of collaborate with everyone, because I think right now, uh, especially right now, a lot of people in, like, especially in music, it's like basically 80% of us is not working. So, and if you know ask for a hand of help, everyone is kind of like will definitely want to help. And then and when the time comes, if they I mean, it all vice versa, if they need our help, we can always help. So it's kind of a very community driven endeavor.
Great. Okay, so we have time for one last question. And I wanted to, again, give our participants a chance to ask directly so we can see you and hear from you.
Mhm.
Okay. Give you 2 more seconds. Okay, great. Gone. All right. So thank you again for being part of the panel. We have time for one last question, and I think this can be for anyone from the panel. This is from Jonathan Cabral, and he asks, in terms of sales strategy, how are you able to convince the people to buy these art pieces, or I guess to participate in, to take up the services that you offered, given that the economy was down the slide? So, would like to answer that.
I could answer. So, because we're selling like actual products, and for a while we were considered non-essentials. It's very strange to be called a non-essential during this time. So we make bags, right? Fashion accessories, and of course, when you're going out to do your groceries or you're not really going anywhere, you don't really need a lot of bags or a lot of nice bags at that. So we had to pivot our production, as I shared earlier. But surprisingly, we were still able to sell some of our collection, some of our products during this time. And I think it has to do with constantly communicating to our market. So we're, ever since, even prior to the pandemic, our way of communicating is very transparent. And we talk about real things that are happening behind the scenes. We're not very like super edited and polished. We like talking about the behind the scenes and why we do it, because we know a lot of people resonate with our story. So we've been doing that for the past few weeks. So we've been telling our advocates that we, as much as we are taking strict precautions to make sure everybody's safe, we also seriously consider just continuing the continuing livelihood, continuing business, because it's not just about the business, it's about livelihood. And during this crisis, during this pandemic, a lot of the vulnerable people who were vulnerable before will even be more vulnerable now. So we really can't stop. So when we share stories like that, I think it resonated with a lot of people. And for sure, a lot of people are suffering during this time. A lot of people are going to go into unemployment, but there are still some who are not, and some who are thriving in this pandemic. So they're part of the industries that are doing quite well. So we talk to these people as well. So on a social media side and communication side, we communicate our truth. We talk about what's happening to us. But on another end, strategically, we also look at companies who are not as affected, people who are in these industries, and we talk to them and consider collaborations as well, to continue corporate accounts and whatnot. So we were able to do that for the past few weeks, and that's one of the reasons why we're able to support everyone in our company through this pandemic.
Thank you so much, Reese. Yeah, okay. So we've kind of overtimed a bit, but I'm afraid that we're going to conclude our open forum now. We'd like to thank you all again for being part of it. I just wanted to quickly share some of the key points that came out from today. And thank you, Erica, for helping me summarize this. So the first is digital transformation is not an option, it's a must. And it all starts with bringing change to the organization's culture. And culture is about people, it's about values, it's about purpose. And the second is it's important to communicate constantly and compassionately and make it easy for people to reach out to you. So it's also about knowing how what digital platforms people use, you know, more tangibly. Are they on Facebook? Which channel do they use? Again, going back to it about being people. The third is that data and numbers are important when going online. It's a numbers game, according to Hoagie. But and digital gets boring very quickly. And that's why we need numbers to help us. So innovation has to come to play. Some will fail, but some will work. But again, you need to monitor it. And some people will see the effort, and that effort will always come back to your numbers. And the fourth is that it's important to create, don't just consume. And lastly, collaborations are critical to success. And we need to create new ways of working and reaching to our new audiences. And yeah, thank you also to Kemi for help and Florence for helping me gather all the points and insights that came out from today. All right, there's a poll there that just popped up before we move on to our informal part. By the way, we will keep this room open for anyone who wants to kind of meet and greet. But yeah, let us know how you're feeling now compared to what, 2 hours ago. Okay, so it seems that excitement is maintained. I hope more than ever, we hope more than ever. We have fewer people who are frustrated. There are also people who are eager. I hope that means also eager to collaborate with other people here, you know, exchanging what skills you need and what skills you have and can offer. Right, okay. So, Shaz, I accidentally took over your part. That was meant for you, the recap. Maybe you can talk about the reminders.
Yeah, no, that's
yeah.
for both of us, but also my team at Adobo have also been listening in. So they also gave me some points to reiterate, which I think just work off of yours. So one thing that they told me was like, digital is a must. Everyone must really go digital, like you said about the digital transformation. But don't forget, it's about the people and it's about trying to innovate. So if you're getting really flustered and stuck on like digital transformation, like focus on a digital transformation that will help your community and help you not feel overwhelmed by it, because it's about a simplification of communication. And then they also told me that they saw that collaboration was a big key in success from everything that they've listened to today. So whether it's collaboration with other artists, with other communities, of course, with other creative hubs, a lot of us share the same message and same mission. And it might just be a Zoom call like we're doing now. It might be participating in other webinars supported by other hubs that are here today. But like collaborations are really simple. So we should consider our messaging as collaboration. And also about storytelling and staying true to your brand. So that has come up again and again in really different ways, which has been really cool. I also love the way of the underground party, like stay true to who you are and just try to manifest that. It's important to stay true to what your story is and how you're trying to create that story. So whether it's through your brand or your trying to create your core message onto being just digital. Like, just make sure you simplify that process so you're not able, you don't have to add anything, or you don't have to simplify anything. So really, like, tell it how it is and just be authentic to your audience. I think at one point in time it was said, one of the biggest focuses of when you're going this digital route, it's your personality. So like I was saying, like, you know, don't try to add a bunch of things. It's really about that personality and focusing on being authentic. So yeah, that's my that's my little recap from your recap.
No, that's
so,
great. It's always good to hear, you know, how people interpret what we say, you know, in different ways. Okay, so yeah, there's, by the way, we're saying a lot of names that you may not, you know who they are. Erica, Kemi, Florence, Mark, Henry, they are the team behind this event, and I'm sure I left many of you out, but just so you know, they are the team behind our event for today. Okay, and so some reminders. The third and last session of the series is on the 23rd of July, and that will be on reimagining the future. So we will literally try to reimagine the future and ask, what is the new long-term vision for hubs and communities? And so make sure you sign up again. And like I said, we're leaving this room open for a couple more minutes. You know, in case anyone wants to meet each other, just informally outside of the formal program. If you haven't done so already, please try to be part of our global creative workforce on Instagram. We just want to show that, you know, we are all together in this global online world right now. And we want to see also, you know, how your world is doing right now. So take a photo, share it on Instagram, tag PH British so we can make a compilation of all your stories. Yeah, so it's at PH British, as you can see there. And lastly, we need your feedback, please. So we're sharing a link here and also a QR code for our post-event form. It'll take 5 minutes, we promise. So I hope you can take time to do that today before we forget and, you know, get busy with all our other things in mind. Right, and if you'd like to know more about what Adobo and Whiteboard Journal, our media partners, are doing, please check out the articles that we shared. We will also be sharing a resources list following this, you know, with all the skills mapping and other important, useful things for you. And lastly, we'd like to thank everyone for coming. To our partners, Thames International, our learning partner, DTI Design Center of the Philippines, they have actually been our partner from the very beginning of our Hubs program here in the Philippines. So thick and thin, it's good to know that we have shared values and goals. And of course, to all our speakers, Pilar, Hoagie, Jillian, TJ, and Reese, thank you again for sharing your insights with us and your stories with us. Yeah, okay, so you are free to go. So as we mentioned, we are keeping this open for people who want to meet each other. If you can't unmute yourself, just type here in our chat box, you know, telling us that you can't unmute yourself, and we will unmute you. Yeah, I think, you know, what we really try to do with this session is, again, you know, this was a recurring theme to try to imitate what happens in you know, face-to-face engagement. So like in an event, you have you know, you have an event, and then people don't just disappear, right? People want to talk to each other. They want to meet people who they, you know, found, who they really appreciated. They wanted to say hi to a friend, or so. Yeah, we hope you can take this chance to do that. So I'll shut up now. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Also stay, by
Bye.
the way, for the speakers.
And we can stay and do our session, but then we can close our Facebook feed.
Yes.
So people feel like they can
Yeah.
participate in any way.
Yes. Yes. So this will be a more intimate,
yes.
an informal session now. So yeah, for everyone's information, we are closing our Facebook live stream. Does anyone want to turn on their cameras?
Si Ayu ini sakit.